Okay, you're there again? Alright, I don't know what happened, but I lost you. In any case, I'm going to stick this thing in here, and we're going to look at the gauge. And I'm going to rock this thing back and forth. Hope you can see it all. I'm going to slide it down the bottom. Wow, okay, this thing is... Wow, this thing is not moving. Alright, there it goes. Alright, you see it's running on the 2 there. It was trying to catch that 2. Yeah, there it is. Okay, I set the gauge at 0, which is up top, 12 o'clock. That means that this block is 4.032 plus, meaning it's 2 thousandths bigger than I thought it was going to be at the top. Now I'm going to slide her down towards the bottom. Normally it would get a little tighter. Yeah, there we go. Okay, let's just call that about 1 thousandth and a half big. So that would be 4.031 and a half. So that's 1 thousandth and a half bigger. So let me go to the next one. Wow. Nothing. That's another dead one. That means it's 3 thousandths plus over. Okay, there we go. There's one that's a 1/2 thousandths at the top. That's 1 thousandths that way. Holy shit. This thing's really bad. Okay, 1 thousandths at the top. 1.5 at the bottom. Okay, I'm going to flip over to the other side. I'm pretty sure the other side has more readings on it than the passenger side, but I'm going to check the back one here. Okay, I'm going to check it at the top. I thought it did. Yeah, okay. So there's 2 thousandths bigger. And 2.5 at the bottom. Wow. That's 2 at the top. And 2.5 at the bottom. You can see how bad they machined this thing, or honed it rather. How sloppy the clearances are. I'm going to do number 3 cylinder now. Okay, that's 2. And 2.5 at the bottom. I'm going to check number 1 now. Okay, there's number 1. That's 1.5 big and almost 2. Alright, so just using this one as an example. Normally, on any job that you check that was previously done, like if this was a 4-inch block from the factory, 4-inch bore, and it was used in service, this thing would come in with a lot of taper at the top where the rings are. So normally as I went up to the top, the gap would be getting bigger. In this case, it's just the opposite. We've got 1.5 thousandths, let's call it here, and 2 at the bottom, if I remember correctly, or something like that. 2.5 at the bottom. Okay? That is just poor work, terrible work. They should, in this case, should read the same at the top as it does at the bottom, and each cylinder should be the same, assuming that all the pistons are the same. I've never seen pistons that far off. What I'm trying to say is, for cast pistons, not only is this thing bored too big for a cast piston, but it's going to take a lot on my part even if I bring these to 3/1000 over, it's going to take a lot to get them the same at the top as the same in the bottom. You know, try to get the taper out of it, honing it. And I got a feeling that even if I can clean it at 3/1000 over, meaning 4.033, that's going to be a little more clearance than I normally would put in it if I started from scratch. Normally with a forged piston, it would probably be somewhere around 4.030, 4.030 and a half, depending on the brand of the piston and the amount of taper that's in the skirt and the type of material. Now, I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking, well, they probably used torque plates when they did this, so there is not a good comparison to be made in this case. Well, I got news for you. Even if it was done with torque plates, the workmanship is shit, and on top of that, on a stock factory block like this, that was not designed for performance use, that has been used since it was developed. Normally with a torque plate, it only changes about 1 inch to 1.5 inch down from the deck. So you're not going to be getting any variation with a torque plate on any of these blocks that's more than 1/1000 from the deck down, meaning that the bolt studs or the head studs are going to distort only this top portion of the block, no more than about 1.5 down, depending on the thickness of the skirt, the thickness of the actual material from bore to bore, meaning the where the water jacket is, the actual sleeve, if you will, or the casting thickness on these blocks can vary from one side to the other. They could be non-concentric, meaning it's thinner over here than it is over there. So with that being said, getting back to the torque plate, it will only change normally the top portion of the block. So if I was going to bore this with a torque plate and hone it and finish it, let's call it to 0, again back on the gauge, meaning it was exactly 30 over. When I unbolt the torque plate and take the head gasket off it and stick the dial bore gauge down in the hole, it should read 4.030 at the bottom of the cylinder, and as I start to bring the gauge up, it could vary 1/1000 to 1/1000 in any direction. You understand? That way, when if I took the torque plate and the head gasket, put it back on the block and retorqued it to the same spec with the same head gasket, I should be able to stick the dial bore gauge down in the hole and it will read 0 at the top and 0 at the bottom. The whole idea of the torque plate is to give the block the appearance that it's going to be when it's put together with the head bolted on it. So technically, y'all should set your end gaps on your piston rings with a torque plate on it if it was bored and honed with it, which is a lot of work. We don't normally do it on the Dart blocks or the World blocks or any strong aftermarket block anymore because they're so damn thick that it does not make a difference at the top like the old ones do, but we still do it anyway as far as boring and honing it. We don't use the torque plates anymore to set our end gaps. So anyway, I just wanted to show you the kind of crap that we get in from time to time, and it's going to take me a little longer to straighten this mess out, but I can still do it. So anyway, just wanted to give you guys a heads up on what goes on out there from shop to shop, and you know what, how we go about trying to correct it. From that point, when I get done figuring out whether I can do it with these pistons or not, if these pistons aren't thick enough or wide enough on the skirt, meaning that I got way too much clearance after I'm done, we're going to have to look for another set of pistons. or I'm going to have to order a set of custom pistons, which I do very, very often. That will be 2, 3, 4, 5 thousandths bigger on the skirt, meaning that it would be like a 35 over when I was done. That's the only way to keep it at a 30-inch bore without going to 40 or 60 or something like that. We do that very, very often. Diamond does that for me. They wind up building pistons with a bigger skirt on it to still keep it within that +5 over range of whatever bore that I've got normally. So we could do that again if we need to with this. I'm not worried about it, but it just means that the pistons that the customer has, he's not going to be able to use. He's going to have to spend probably another $700 to $800 minimally to get a set of pistons made for this thing. But, you know, it's all a matter of what you got to work with. And, you know, if he could buy or afford an aftermarket block, he would have already bought it from me and brought it in that way. But in this case, we're trying to salvage what he's got. And, you know, we can do it. Just a matter of time and money. Okay, that's all. Till next time. I'm going to be getting back, eventually doing the line bore on or line hone on this block, so I'll be able to show you a little more of what goes on prior to putting it in the machine to hone the holes in the main line. We'll show you how we cut the caps and fit them on the block before we do all that. I did not show it in the last video that we did, but I will show it on the next one that I do. Okay, till next time. Talk to you later.